We are exactly full steam and straight ahead with the Fox 6 Sports Blitz tonight. Lily's out, Tim Van Vooren, Brandon Cruz, full squad for you. Appreciate your company. And here we go at the starting lineup. Brewers have a break-even week. Manager Pat Murphy says they can stand toe-to-toe with the best teams in the game. Meanwhile, Freddie Peralta makes us say what? When it comes to the Packers, wherefore art Romeo Dobbs mentally right now, and where will he be on the field this fall? We do some rapid-fire reacting. And our latest high school hotshot will stitch it all together.
We didn't get the big hit. We hit some balls hard, but we didn't get the big hit when we needed to. We could have scored, a ton of runs. I say a ton. I mean, credit San Diego's pitching. The young kids that they have throwing the ball good, but we had a ton of traffic, and it seemed like we just didn't come up with a big hit.
As is his way, Pat Murphy sums it up perfectly. The Brewers just didn't get the big hit. A couple of times in this series against the Padres, which was a very entertaining series. All three games, they're shut out, including today 1-0 stranding runners. It was just paltry offense too often, Brandon.
Yeah, 27 runners over those three games left on base by the Brewers hitters, and you can't win games against good teams and good pitchers if you're going to do that. And that's what this team has struggled with this year, is coming through with clutch hits consistently. And this felt like a playoff series, the way the games went and how close they were and how well matched up these two teams are. But the fact that the Brewers could not push guys across is something they need to figure out. They have too many guys that are just struggling mightily at the plate and not delivering like they're supposed to. I don't know how many times we see Joey Ortiz up with guys on base, and he just can't drive them in. And sometimes he's snake bit. Sometimes it just doesn't work.
You said you can't win when you're doing that. You can't win at all if you score zero.
Right.
It doesn't matter who you're playing, what you're doing. The one game they did win in this series, Lily, was a thriller right here on Fox 6. Another nail biter, and this time they get the clutch hit.
They really do, and it came in the later innings, right? And so this Brewers team really figured it out against the Padres bullpen to make it a game late. And of course, the rookie Caleb Durbin is the hero last night with the walk-off home run. His first inside AmFam Field. It's fun to see him do this because I think the Brewers needed a lift. Trevor McGill blew the save in the previous frame. So what does he do? First pitch, walk-off homer. And that's what you want to see with the guy who's kind of been inconsistent at the plate, but he's found, his bat lately. And this was just a massive play from him to secure a win from the Brewers because, again, this was looking like a game where they were not going to be putting up enough runs, and all of a sudden they figure it out late, and that's the payoff.
And to me, it makes you feel okay about the weekend. If you don't win that game, you're swept by the Padres, you're in real trouble. You win that game, and you win it in dramatic fashion, and you lose a couple of close games, and you actually, okay, 3-3 on the week. You're not quite as down about things if you're a Brewers fan. Yeah,
and let's face it, this is against a Padres team that is really good, and they have really good pitching. And you see the Brewers did go toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in baseball. So you are encouraged. Of course, it could have gone either way. The Brewers should have won a couple more games, but it is what it is. They just couldn't get their bats going. But winning this game in the fashion that they did, I think does kind of salvage the series despite them losing it to San Diego.
And another thing you feel good about, Brandon, is this regular pitching that's coming through game after game after game now. Today it was Freddie Peralta, a no decision, a no-hitter into the sixth inning, and he walks away with a no decision. He's obviously a bulwark for this team. If the Brewers were to think about trading Freddie Peralta, for instance, his value is skyrocketing in the game.
Yeah, he's had a great season. Remember last year he was moved into that #1 role, and it took him a little while to get used to doing that. Well, this time around this year, he has been solid from start through today. I mean, he has just really nailed it. And what you see is a guy that's a lot more confident than I remember seeing him before. Yes, he believed in himself, and yes, he always thought he could do it, but there's this air of confidence that he has on the mound now, and it has other guys, wondering when they're facing him what they're going to do. In fact, in one of the broadcasts, they were talking about how he just reaches. He has so much reach on his from the mound that it looks like he's right on top of you letting go of the ball, and that is such an effective way to mess with hitters. And when you have it like that, the release point so late, it does create problems for hitters, and his confidence on top of that really has made him an ace.
More aggressive than he's been in the past, too, I think, much more decisive in his pitching. Lily, Dallas Keuchel's not needed this year. I mean, we've got Freddie Peralta, we've got DL Hall, you got Chad Patrick, you got Quinn Priester. pick the video in the back, guys, you want to roll, because these starting pitchers have been racking it up, and the bullpen, for the most part, has been delivering.
Yeah, the bullpen really held strong this week, but, talking about the combo of DL Hall and Quinn Priester, getting the start there, DL Hall, kind of your opener guy for Quinn Priester, and it's really working out. This duo is really working out. You talk about Chad Patrick, I think up for, NL Rookie of the Year. I mean, what he has done this season has been phenomenal for the Brewers. I think a lot of people would say at the start of the year, Chad Patrick on the,
Chad Patrick on the roster?
On the roster, and the way he's pitching right now, you kind of have to keep him there, right? So there are a lot of starting arms who are making do, but the question is, of course, when Brandon Woodruff comes back, what does that starting rotation look like? But of course, the Brewers certainly have guys right now who are really, really steady in that starting rotation.
So many guys are delivering that you don't really have the one standout guy. And it's funny, the Brewers with a good record and having a good season so far. And who's their all-star representative going to be? Start thinking about that, and they don't necessarily have one surefire guy. So another thing to watch as we go forward through the next couple of weeks here. We're into the midpoint of June. Baseball's heating up, and, football matters too.
I just invite guys over. Everything pretty much be at the house, yeah. So, we watch Thursday night football, watch the NBA finals, watching, we hanging out, and then we turn on the iPad, watching Indy, see where we can get better at.
Indy is not racing; it's individual work there. Kenny Clark from the Packers talking there, and up at the organized team activities this past week. Brandon, he's a big part of the pass rush when he's healthy. He also revealed that he had off-season foot surgery.
And that's what you find out in these types of situations. What did they really go through last year? What was holding them back? And injuries a key factor there for him and Lucas Van Ness. So when you see what he's trying to do, he is trying to get back to his form, but he is in that form as a leader. And I love the fact that he's having the guys over on Friday night as they're enjoying the NBA Finals. They're having fun doing other things, yet they're still doing the work. And it feels like this group wants to be out there, and they kind of want everything to get going right now. That's the feeling I get from listening to them, and that's something I think you've got to love if you're Matt LaFleur, seeing these leaders or these veterans take over as leaders and really kind of own what they have in that group.
It is a challenge to keep it fresh when you have a lot of the same faces year after year, and Matt LaFleur seems to be doing that pretty well so far this offseason. Lily, you were there this week. How about Romeo Doubs, okay? He doesn't talk to the media very often. He did talk to the media this week. For the first time in a while, he answered some pretty tough questions. He has a lot in front of him, and he's still trying to live down quite a bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I will say, I was, just pleased with how he was with the media this week. Of course, he talked about his concussion history just a little bit, but also just said he regrets just how things went down last year, and that led to his one-game suspension. He wished he had done it differently. He said, I wish I communicated better. And because of that, you're seeing a new Romeo Doubs this season. You see him there really mentoring Sam Brown Jr., one of the younger wide receivers on the team, and he's really taking this leadership role in stride because, again, he is one of the veteran guys, believe it or not, in that receivers room. So what does he do with this role? He wants to be a leader. He wants the guys to look up to him. If they have questions, just like a Jaden Reed, these young guys can go up to him and talk to him and ask him questions. And that's what you like to see in Romeo Doubs, the evolution of a player, but also the evolution as a person.
And he's facing a contract year, so he has a lot to gain in front of him this season. Keyshawn Nixon's another guy who likes to talk to the media, different than Romeo Doubs on that front, but interesting in what he also has to overcome and has in front of him as well.
Yeah, I mean, he struggled as a returner and kind of really at the end of last season was talking about how he doesn't want to do, he just wants to focus on being a cornerback. Well, he's softened on that stance, and understandably so. It was in the heat of the moment after the playoffs had ended their season. But what you see here is a guy that seems to be determined to be the best at his position that he can be, and if he's asked to return, which he's expected to, he's ready to tackle that role and to make it something that he tries to be the best at as well. I mean, he was an all-pro returner in the past, so, here he is now, or a Pro Bowl returner. So here he is now trying to embrace the fact that he's trying to be the number one corner and doing whatever this team wants. And as you said, he enjoys talking about it. So it's enjoyable to listen to see where his perspective is as he's entering this season.
All right, former Packer in the news this week. You get 30 seconds, you get 30 seconds. Aaron Rodgers of the Steelers, who will play the Packers in Week 8.
It's going to be fun, right? I think, again, the NFL scriptwriters did it well. They set it up nicely. Rodgers against the Jets to open up the year, and Week 8 primetime in the Steel City. Packers Steelers a must-watch. But Rodgers, of course, I think I felt like he was going to play this season. One-year deal with Pittsburgh, lots of money incentives as well. But this is a guy that goes to a team that needs a quarterback, a good defense. It's going to be a fun year for them.
I say, remember what the odds were for the Steelers to win the Super Bowl before he signed? They're the same after he signed. I don't know if he's an answer there. I think, he's going to get a lot of attention that he likes. I don't know how well the Steelers are going to like it, especially if they start off 0-3, 0-4, and really struggle out of the gate.
And when he went to the Jets, it was like, oh my gosh, here comes Aaron Rodgers. Ah. And when he goes to Pittsburgh, it is, as you said, much different in terms of the odds makers and much different in terms of that locker room. Doesn't know as many people and is coming into from a different position for sure in terms of his perception. Well, that'll do it for our football talk. How about one more little baseball reminder? The UW Whitewater team running away with the Division III National Championship this week, blasting Messiah University, and we mean blasting, 21-5 in the title game. 74 runs, postseason stuff, incredible for the Warhawks, the most ever in the Division III World Series, capping off a championship season. They return home, they get to celebrate with their fans on campus, longtime coaching staff there, a lot of guys have been through it. They are certainly satisfied and have every reason to enjoy the ride. We're back in a moment.
What's peaking?
To answer your question, I can't really answer your question.
And like peak?
Where do you get to go and other people are actually interested in what you got to say?
I can say Yakachonis a lot easier than I could say Hamakurnis.
We'll stop there. 7, 8 years later, and they don't forget about it. Sometimes I feel bad about him. I know he don't care, but it's been like 7 years. He's a good guy, good person too. He tried to help people around, but he's not welcome here.
Manny Machado's welcome, should we say, from the fans goes all the way back to when he ran over Jesus Aguilar's leg a number of years ago. Well, a lot of things going on right now in sports in Wisconsin. And so to me, it's like, why don't we take a look kind of in a rapid fire or quick take thing as to the state of whatever this topic is. We'll start off with Giannis Antetokounmpo. You hear all these rumors. Is he going to Toronto? Is Jason Kidd going to bring him to New York if he goes there? Do you buy any of these rumors and their sourcing?
They've certainly spiced up the summer. I would still say my thought is Giannis stays in Milwaukee.
Do you believe he's going?
I believe he's also staying in Milwaukee. Just based off, again, you can kind of glean what you want from his social media interactions, but I think he stays in town.
So when you see this going on with the Bucks, what do they do right now, Tim, to clear the air? Do they just let it all keep going out there?
I think they assure Giannis that they can compete, that they have a plan here, that they know that their situation is a little bit dimmer than it's been at years gone by at this point, but they still have a plan and they're going forward. That's the best thing they can do. And how many teams say it all the time? We can't get caught up in the outside noise.
All right, well, we'll see if they can still win if they get rid of him or if they are on track to keep a championship, hopes alive with him there on the bench. Now, the Packers, do they have a Super Bowl chance with this team and this staff right now? I mean, here we go. Super Bowl?
They're not the leading candidate.
Do you believe that they have a run?
Ask us later, but I think it will be tough. But never say never.
All right, the Badgers. Here they are in the middle of this
Super Bowl
giant.
champion.
No Super Bowl.
But right in the middle of the Big Ten, have they made the improvements, Lily, to be on top of the Big Ten or at least near the top?
I'm not sure, and the schedule this year is very tough, especially on the road, so I don't think so.
All right, the Brewers, we talked about them at the beginning with what they've been doing. Tim, do they have a shot to continue their playoff runs with this current roster, or do they need to shake it up before the trade deadline?
I think they have a shot with this roster. I think if they add something offensively before the trade deadline, it enhances their chances. I like them getting to the playoffs, though. They're just a little off the wild card spot right now.
Do you see anybody on the market that they would send out to bring in a hitter?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think you have to leverage a pitcher, but can you afford to leverage Freddie Peralta?
Yeah, that is the question. All right, college hoops right now. We haven't had a team reach the Final Four locally since the Badgers about 10 years ago, Tim. Is there a Final Four in the near future?
I know there's a lot of anticipation out there for this year's Badgers team, actually. So I'm curious to see how good they're actually going to be.
All right, and Lily, professional golf. Majors aren't going to get here until 2037 at the earliest. are we going to see a major golf tournament in Wisconsin anytime in the next 20 years?
I really hope so. Wisconsin really does it well with their majors on the men's and women's sides, especially the U.S. Women's Open that we just saw come to fruition. I think there should be. I think the state of Wisconsin does a really good job of showcasing their golf courses.
All right, the Ryder Cup is the first thing that could come, and that could come as early as 2035. I wouldn't bank on that, though, at this point in time. Well, a couple of local golfers will be competing in the U.S. Open at Oakmont this week. Harrison out of Brookfield qualified at the Columbus, Ohio site. He placed 5th. Also qualified on golf's longest day was Oconomowoc George Kanizer. He advanced out of the Durham, North Carolina site. So both guys are in the field and have a chance to really make Wisconsin proud in the National Championship of Golf. We'll be right back with this week's High School Hot Shot.
Welcome back. Her interest was stitched by her pre-kindergartner teacher in a Hello Kitty machine gifted by her grandmother, and now she's designing her way to France and Spain. Here's this week's Fox 6 High School Hot Shot.
Hi, my name is Tatiana Marich. I'm a senior at University School Milwaukee, and I'm an aspiring fashion designer. My entire family is Serbian, and I'm actually going to Serbia for the first time in June. Just knowing where my family comes from is very important, and I feel like as I've gotten older, it's become even more important. In terms of like the fashion aspect of it as well, I love like the Serbian needlepoint and embroidery. I think it's so beautiful. I'm really excited to be inspired by that while I'm over there. Like one thing that I love about the fashion industry is like the craftsmanship it takes to make the clothes. When I'm traveling, I always look to see kind of like the different techniques that everyone uses. So just taking apart of what makes every country just super special, I guess, is really important to where my manufacturing is done in the future for my designs. I started sewing when I was 3 years old here at USM, and now I teach sewing lessons to young girls as well. So it's been my entire life I've been doing this. So I did ballet for 12 years. I do theater, so I've done all the musicals since middle school. Like musical season is my favorite time of the year. It's like singing, dancing, I love the costumes. In my house, I have my basement that's devoted to my little home studio, I guess. I guess one of my favorite pieces that I made recently was my prom dress. I don't know, it was just really beautiful, it was very elegant, kind of simple, but I really liked it in the end. Tower Project at USM is a year-long research project on a topic that you're interested in. For my project, I chose to focus on the sustainability aspect of the fashion industry. I used completely thrifted materials, and so I just wanted to bring awareness to the physical process of making clothes, and also that we're able to make new clothes out of what we already have, and we don't need to keep making more. I truly love fashion design. Like, it is the only thing I've ever truly loved to do, and the only thing I've ever seen myself doing in the future. My name is Tatiana Marich. I'm a senior at USM, and next year I'll be attending ESMOD, which is a fashion school in Paris. And I'm this week's Fox 6 High School Hot Shot.
That is an amazing skill to have, and Tatiana, congratulations. Her dream with fashion, though, is to have her own ready-to-wear brand that helps women feel beautiful and powerful, all while being manufactured with sustainable and ethical means for the environment. Meanwhile, it was a successful weekend in lacrosse for the WIAA Boys and Girls State Track and Field Championships. There were plenty of winners, including Elkhart Lake's Brody Feldman, who had 3 first-place finishes, including the Division III 110-meter hurdles right there. And then in Division I, Wisconsin Lutheran's Nair Claiborne will take home the 110-meter hurdles. He sets a state record with a time of just over 14 seconds. And then Arrowhead's Avery Bott a big part in the Warhawk girls repeating as Division I state champions. Meanwhile, Marquette's Gianni Quintero also three-peats in the 800-meter wheelchair. Congrats to all the winners. We'll be right back.
All right, looking ahead to the upcoming week, Lily Zhao, is it 23andMe? Do we see Jair Alexander at minicamp?
I was just going to say that. I think we do see Jair Alexander minicamp Tuesday through Thursday. Tim, you will be there, and hopefully we will hear from Jair Alexander about his status with
It is mandatory.
It is mandatory.
Always an interesting time, yeah. Brewers continue their homestand. The Braves come to town tomorrow for 3, and then it's the Cardinals for 4 over the weekend. And this could be a really big week for the Brewers to kind of get back into where they want to be.
Interesting. No days off.
Right.
Braves are way below expectations.
Right.
Cardinals probably above expectations.
Yeah, the Braves have lost 6 straight.
Yeah, absolutely. So interesting time for the Brewers for sure. We appreciate you joining us. Hope you felt this was an interesting time in your life. We'll see you again next Sunday night on the Fox 6 Sports Blitz.